You're listening to My Grito Podcast Network, celebrating the culture of Chicanos and Latinos one story and voice at a time. Listen to more My Grito Podcast Network shows over at mygrito.net. Connect on social, on Instagram and Facebook at My Grito, the My Grito Podcast Network.
3, 2, 1. Mr. Clifton Weaver, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
And it's DJ Soft Touch also.
Yeah. Clifton, a.k.a. DJ Soft Touch, or DJ Clifton. I'm not picky these days.
Okay. So you got you're a man of many names and many hats. You're also a musician too, right?
Yeah, I actually started out playing in bands before I was DJing. I was in kind of like a garage 60s, also kind of Britpop indie influenced group called the Mojo Filters. And kind of fell into DJing actually through being in a band. I played bass and kind of co-wrote the songs in that group. And the band had a residency at this one club where the promoter / DJ didn't want to play until he thought there was enough people inside the club.
Yeah, your story is very interesting on how you fell into DJing.
Yeah. So, I that first night, I noticed, people walking in and walking out because no music's playing, or when he did put a record on, he just let a whole side play in the DJ booth. So I said to him, hey, why don't I just bring records next week? That way, at least when people walk in, they hear music, they see someone in the DJ booth. And that's how it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was reading through. Well, I heard your podcast with, I believe it was like Disc Fade or something like that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the Crossfader. There we go. I said Disc Fader, totally wrong. But yeah, and I heard that specific story, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it started out with that residency, and then actually that band, the Mojo Filters, became the house band for that night. It was a Sunday night event, a monthly Sunday at Que Sera in Long Beach.
So what exactly is a residency?
Well, a residency, usually bands will have like a residency at a club. It'll be like a month-long thing. You'll play every Tuesday for a month. That's like a residency. And then we ended up becoming kind of like the house band for that event, even though the event didn't last that long. I think maybe only 2 or 3 months, but we were kind of like the house band for it. And, we would learn like different covers and stuff and play in between DJ sets.
Okay. How long were you in a band before you started DJing?
Let's see here. That band started in 98. And I think I DJ'd, that residency that we DJ'd was in 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
It's fine. We have young men, we have old men, we have all sorts of.
Yeah, I'll be ready for the Glue Factory soon.
The Glue Factory? Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. This is delicious.
You like it?
Yeah, this is
really good. Oscar, Screwball, we got to get them on the bill for this show. But
yeah, I mean, I'm sold on it. I'll be keeping an eye out.
Yeah, it's really good. So what? So we actually found, Amber was sharing with you on how we kind of sort of found you.
Oh yeah, at the McCharmley show. Yeah. Well,
at the Paramount.
Yeah, the Paramount. The McCharmleys, the band that I'm currently in that's active is called the Violet Minefield, and the McCharmleys opened up for us. We just had a record release show. Well, not just had it was at the end of January. We had a record release show at the Flyaway at Fox in Pomona, and the McCharmleys were one of the opening bands. We had the McCharmleys, Daydream Time Machine, and I'm forgetting the band. But yeah, and so I think it's Angie. Yeah, Angie. Yeah, she heard me because I also DJ'd the show, our record release show at the Fox.
You're like a 2-for-1. When they book your band, they get the band and they get the DJ.
And they get a DJ if they want it.
If they want it.
Yeah.
The Flyway is a really nice venue. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, it's nice. It's big. When we play, I always kind of think, oh my God, are people going to show up? But yeah, it was a good show. McCharmleys were awesome, and they liked the set that I played, and So when they were doing their record release at the Paramount, they hit me up and asked if I would be on the bill. And of course, they're a great band. And
yeah, I'm huge fans of the McCharmleys.
yeah.
So the Flyway, do you know if they're still doing Rocket there? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think so either. I didn't see any posters or any kind of promotion for it up there.
Yeah, they moved to the basement, which is just around the corner in downtown Pomona.
And this is Club Rocket. Is that Brando's? Brando von Badsville?
No, it's can we look this up? It's I can't forget his name, but it's not Badsville.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I knew somebody that did a Club Rocket that was out kind of Covina area, then it was in El Monte.
Yeah, they moved it around.
Yeah, and then I think like kind of near Montebello area, and then
for a long time they were doing it at Spike's. Do you remember Spike's?
Yeah, Spike's Billiards. And
it was Spike's. Okay. Yeah, Club Rocket.
What am I looking for?
The DJ that does that.
Oh.
I know Vanessa hangs out with them all the time when she goes there at the basement. Deep House. Yeah, she'll find it.
I'll look for it.
Was DJ Mike Beasy? Is that it? No, that's they're spelling Rocket totally wrong.
Oh, I don't know. Okay,
Rock
we'll
It.
Oh, like Rock It.
Yeah.
You can tell I have never been there.
It's a really cool venue. I gotta take you. Or it's a cool club. Yeah, and did you bring any records with you?
I didn't because I didn't.
I'm joking.
But, see, I didn't quite know what to expect on this podcast. Sometimes people have me on their podcast and they'll want me to do like a DJ set.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, that's exactly what I thought, Amber, when he asked earlier today. I was like, maybe he's thinking that we're gonna ask him to spin some vinyl.
Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because a lot of times, like I said, a lot of times I'll do a podcast and it'll be like 5 minutes of talking and then like 45 minutes of me just playing records.
Oh, that's cool.
What would we need for that? Do you know?
I mean, I'm mainly a vinyl DJ, so it'd be like 2 turntables and a DJ mixer, and then you could probably just take the audio feed directly into your
Don't give him any ideas.
Hold on? What's the output? Like, what would be the cable? Would it be an XLR cable to? This is for all my podcast nerds.
Well, depending on the type of mixer you have, some mixers will have XLR outputs and RCA outputs.
Okay, it has a.
Because I have the mixer I currently have is an Pioneer S9, and it has 2 master outputs. One's an XLR, and then one's an RCA for master.
We'll talk offline because that. Yeah, I don't. Right, Amber? Because that would be.
I heard nothing. No. I heard something, but I understood nothing.
So, you started as a musician. You played for a few years, and you fell into DJing. And is that still your full-time gig at the moment?
Yeah, DJing's full-time.
How badass is that?
I guess I know just from looking at other people who are DJs and from the outside it always looks great. I mean, and it is. I'm not complaining about it at all, but it is a lot of work, and at times it's very stressful. It's like anything kind of creative. If you're not like an absolute superstar at what you're doing, then you're always going to have kind of like these peaks and valleys, and things will be you'll be really really busy for for sometimes even years, and then you'll hit like a patch where things kind of slow down, and then you got to kind of like rebuild or reconfigure what you're doing. And
do you have like a niche, like specific music that it just pertains to what you play, or are you kind of adaptable? I mean, obviously.
I think of myself as being adaptable. And over the years, I've done a lot of different styles. Some things very, very mainstream and commercial. Other things, definitely more niche. Like, kind of like when I first started going out to nights and clubs, I started out going to kind of like 60s soul and mod events back like in the mid to late 90s. And so that's always kind of like, that sound and that kind of like aesthetic kind of forms like the basis of what I'm into and what I love. And, you know, and even when I do play like more kind of commercial and mainstream things, I still kind of listen for those kind of qualities and characteristics that I heard in the music that I originally loved. So I guess, you know, if I'm known for anything, a lot of times people will assume that I can just do 60s soul or just do, you know, like kind of funk or maybe sometimes garage rock. But I see myself as being, you know, much more expansive than that, you know, because I've done like, you know, I've DJ'd hip hop. I've done, you know, there's a gig in Hollywood I do occasionally at this spot called Pinky's where I'll kind of play like a lot of like 90s to 2000s kind of hip hop and R&B stuff that I love and some more commercial kind of sounds. And I'm always listening to new music and, you know, trying to find new stuff because, you know, music's like my main passion and love. So I always try to stay up on it.
How difficult is it? Like, would you say that the DJ space is very competitive or very, I guess, why do I always, I miss this word, but overcrowded, but it's like oversaturated.
Yeah. Definitely right now. I think it's, you know, it's
why do you think that is?
There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, when I first got started, there was like a ton of bands.
What year was this?
Like I said, you know, 98 was when my first band kind of, well, when we played our first show was 98, and I started DJing in 2000. And along with that, you know, and then how I became more of a professional DJ was that whenever our band had a show, the promoter would say, oh, if somebody from the band wants to guest DJ, they can bring records and guest DJ. And then because I had the experience from K Sarah, that always ended up being me, which then turned into a lot of times those same promoters, when they would book other bands, would say, well, could you just guest DJ? And then when that band, the Mojo Filters, broke up, then it just became me just DJing. People were still just hitting me up to DJ all the time. And so having seen that transition, when I got started, like, you know, 2000, we'll say early, you know, there's bands everywhere. And most clubs didn't want to deal with DJs. Hollywood was very much, you know, we're a rock town, we're rock and roll. And so everything had to be about live music. And every club you went to, there was always a band playing. And I think, so part of it was, you know, clubs got tired of dealing with bands because bands are expensive. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of members. And, you know, and if you do have a band venue, then you have to have like, you know, mixing boards and all these kind of other expenses. So it became, I think it was cheaper for places just to focus on having DJs. So you had this kind of slow transition where people moved away from bands to DJs, and people were paying DJs, but they would pay a full band. But, you know, as a DJ, you're playing 4 hours, but you're still getting kind of what a band would get, but it's just one person. So then you have people who are starting to make careers.
And DJs are transitional, right? They can go from one genre to the next.
Yeah.
Versus a band that may only have one skill set.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's the other thing. Like bands, you know, I guess it's hard for me because I feel like you know, for the longest time, there's a lot of conflict between bands and DJs, or like not conflict, but almost kind of like this quiet animosity where, you know, musicians didn't really respect DJs and, you know, because they're like, oh, you don't have a real skill, you're just playing records. You know, and then DJs, you know, kind of looked at bands as being kind of a hassle, you know, when you're doing a night and you gotta kind of like, you gotta wait for this band to wrap up when they go on, or are they gonna take a second or third encore? So yeah, DJs can do a lot of different styles, and so in the long term, I think for places, it became, you know, more worth it to pay a DJ. So you know, for a long time, DJs were getting, you know, really good money just to DJ, and, you know, a lot of people had like, you know, have full on careers just off of that, you know, and then so other people are like, oh, I want to do that instead. So that was the first thing that started attracting people to DJing. But I think what really happened most recently is COVID. You know, once everything shut down, a lot of people who had records who had never DJed before, the only way they could keep in touch with people was, you know, online, you know, Twitch and whatever. They'd stream DJ sets and chat with people and you know.
Did you ever get into that?
I was going to. I'd done a little. There's this one streaming platform called Date E, like D, the number 8, and then the letter E. And before they had that platform, they had me. They were trying to do like a virtual club, and they were giving DJs residencies for like a month. So like for a month, I spun out of my living room for them. But it was nice. They were paying all the DJs, and yeah, I would do like a 6 to 8 hour set.
Wow.
Whoa.
Were you in your pajamas?
No, but I was
Half, 75% of America was in their pajamas during 2020.
Yeah, I was getting up, taking a shower, and like on camera, 6 to 8 hours.
That's a lot. Shower is a lot more than I did starting a podcast in 2020.
Yeah, every Saturday for like a month. I think it was like I did it March or April, or it had to be April or May of 2020, right when everything shut down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, we want to do a virtual club for us and all our friends. And so they, had me DJ 6 to 8 hours. It was done over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And then the audio was done through Mixler. And but I think a lot of people got into that because it was a way to stay sane and keep in touch with people. So, and once that was over, now you have a bunch of people who are like, I'm a DJ now.
Is this the platform that was sending out disco balls to people?
Yeah.
It was, right?
Yeah. They were sending out,
they were sending disco balls?
well, not disco balls, but they were sending out lights and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, how did I miss the disco balls?
Right?
Let's rewind.
We need a disco ball in here.
But yeah,
Put that on the list.
I think, so, DJing was just something that a lot of people picked up, during COVID. And then once everything started reopening, now you have a whole bunch of people who are like, I want to DJ in front of people. I want to DJ in front of a club.
But there's an art, right? Like, I mean, I feel like for a long time, we would do like family parties where I'm Mexican. So, at every party, it's like music, things like that.
And then plus in the Mexican family, you have an uncle that does
DJing
everything.
on the side. No.
Yeah.
No, but it was like we would hire like someone. I remember one time we were in a pickle. Someone had, canceled on us. And then someone's like, oh, I have a cousin that does it for $200. And we're like, all right. And this guy legit just brought a table and his laptop and like a speaker. And I was like, oh my God. And then we would ask him, do you have this song? And he'd be like, yeah, but you have to wait 4 more songs for it to play. Like he didn't have it, where he mixed or he did this. And for me, DJing is an art, right? Like, I mean, anybody can put music on a speaker, but especially DJing vinyl, I feel like there has to be an art behind it, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like I always look at it as like there's 2 different levels. There's craft and there's art. And I think for most DJs, I think definitely you gotta at least have kind of like certain techniques, and you gotta have like the craft of it and understand the craft. That kind of artistic level, though, I always kind of in my mind I kind of reserve that for like turntablists, people like Cut Chemists or something like that, who are like scratching and kind of like taking records but creating something new and original with it on the fly.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back just a little bit. So when you say DJing as a craft, what's a craft versus DJing as an art?
Well, the craft is like, being able to beat match, being able to blend, understanding certain things about like, I wouldn't say it's an absolute that you have to know this, but it's helped me. By playing music and playing instruments, I can hear a song and I'm like, okay, these 2 songs are in the same or similar keys. So if I beat match and blend them, it's going to sound all right.
It's going to have a smooth transition.
Yeah. Because sometimes you'll even now, me and another friend of mine, we send each other these Instagram videos, and there's like, a DJ who will like, he'll blend 2 different songs together, and we're like, oh, wait a minute, this sounds off, and it'll be like the keys are clashing. Mm-hmm. And so, if you understand that aspect of music, it'll make your blends much better. And then just even be able to blend, period. Not a lot of people know how to blend.
So a blend is like the transition between one song to the next?
Yeah. So if you you're hearing like the drum beats and you can line up like the kick and the snares on the two different songs, then you can kind of blend the, you can get
there's
the
timing that has to go in with that.
Yeah. You get those things to line up together.
So you're
for
under
a long enough time, you can blend the songs. But then there's even kind of styles where you don't necessarily have to blend it. It also just becomes a matter of understanding which songs flow well together, and then being able to read a crowd. And you can see, all right, what songs are the crowd relating to the most? And then you think about those songs. Okay, what is it that they're relating to? Is it the tempo? Is it the drum beat? Is it the bass line? And then if you're going to keep them on the dance floor, then you have to start looking for other songs that are similar.
What do you look at when you're trying to figure out that in a crowd?
When I'm trying to read a crowd, I'll kind of look to see, if anyone's moving. How animated are they? If you're playing songs and the crowd is just completely ignoring you and they're just kind of just talking amongst themselves, if they're not very animated, if they look bored or lifeless, then I think, okay, I got to try a different song, got to try a different tempo, different kind of vibe. But yeah, once you start seeing people kind of move, you kind of look at the shoulders, see if they're kind of about, like they're warming up and about to dance. Then you kind of know, all right, I got them, and then you kind of keep them on that in that vein. And then what I like to do is, once you've gotten, it's kind of like you got to earn their trust. And then once you have their trust, then you can really kind of maybe expose them to stuff that they haven't heard before. You can start stretching out more musically. Okay, so I've started out with this kind of mid-tempo soul song, but let's ramp it up a little bit. Maybe I'll go into like a psychedelic soul song, or maybe, something even with just like straight guitars where it's more just psych rock, or, maybe throw in something from, a different country or.
That's interesting.
But that's once you have them and once you can see, all right, I've won their trust. Because if you don't have their trust and you throw something too left field at them too soon, then it's lost. They'll tune you out completely.
Have you done a gig where that has happened?
Oh yeah, I've done tons of them like that.
Yeah?
I mean,
is that the equivalent of like a comedian bombing like on stage? Okay.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's even more so with DJing. I feel like it happens.
Really?
Yeah. And then going back to, we were talking about the oversaturation in the DJ market.
Yeah.
Another thing that's changed is the crowds. Like when I was a kid, if we went to like a bar or a club and we heard too many things that were on the radio, we'd all leave. Those places were always dead. And even someplace mainstream or commercial, like, Sunset Strip or whatever, DJs didn't really play stuff that was on the radio. They might play something that sounded commercial, but every DJ was always trying to break a record. That's how you made your name, by like, what did you discover that was new? What did you play that was different? What was never played before? And I think now the crowds have changed because so many times I'll be out DJing and people will request, like, what's a radio hit?
They're like, I want Bad Bunny.
Yeah, well, that's the one right now, yeah. Bad Bunny. Yeah, Bad Bunny is because it's like every 5 to 10 years the artist changes, but it's like there'll be like that big artist that everyone absolutely has to hear. And usually the request comes with a story about how them and all their friends were just listening to it in the car and having a blast, and now you got to play it in the club. No matter what kind of style of music you're playing, I could be doing like a 60s night and somebody will come and like, oh my God, can you play Bad Bunny? Me and my friends were just listening to it in the car and it's gonna be so rad. And, obviously it's not because, it's a night it's a night of like 60s soul and then they're asking for Bad Bunny.
What do you say? What do you respond?
I just say, that's not the theme for tonight. Or, by virtue of me being like a vinyl DJ, a lot of times I'll just point to my records. And I'm like, I just have records. This is all I have. Sorry, I don't have that with me.
That's a good strategy.
And then they'll say, because I do sometimes do gigs where I use a laptop. And I noticed when I would do laptop gigs.
They ask you.
Yeah, I'll get way more requests. And if I didn't have it, they would say, well, can't you just download it? And then I'm trying to think, then I have to tell them, well, I don't have the internet connection.
Yeah, there we go. That was going to be my second.
And then they'll say, well, I can give you a mobile hotspot, right? And then, yeah.
Like, damn it, okay.
I'll airdrop you the MP3 of Bad Bunny.
I've had somebody offer to airdrop me.
I'll share you my link to my Spotify playlist.
It's like, actually, Bad Bunny's here.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, they
But
got a lot of links too.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, like how, like I said, when I was younger, first and foremost, you wanted to go to a place where you were going to hear something you'd never heard before, and then you didn't bother the DJ because you won't, if you went especially like if you made the effort to go out to a specific place, you trusted the DJ. You're like, okay, I'm going to trust whatever musical journey this person's going to take me on. So, whatever they played, even if you didn't like some of it, you still listen because you're trying to take in the entire experience. It wasn't just about playing random hits, which, going back to, craft versus art versus, kind of like what a lot of newer DJs are doing. I see a lot of newer DJs where, also because it's all digital now too, they'll download, I'll download the top 100 soul hits from the 60s. I'll download these hits from this other genre. And then when they DJ, they're just trying to play crowd pleasers. Whatever the crowd wants, even if it means jumping wildly from genre to genre, they're just trying to play something to get like a big crowd response. And in a sense, I always kind of feel like it's kind of akin to, if you have, it's like if you're babysitting and you're just pumping a kid full of candy just to keep them pacified. Yeah. It's like, you could do that, but is it going to be beneficial in the long run, Yeah. So, I feel, at least, the time period that I'm from and how I view it, I always feel like, I have more of a responsibility as a DJ to at least try to turn people on to new music and hear things in a different way, not just give them what they want and just to be a crowd pleaser.
The Mind Buzz is powered by Mind Buzz Media. Mind Buzz Media is an on-site video and audio podcast production company. Have you ever thought about starting your own video and audio podcast? Or do you have an existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Mind Buzz Media brings a professional podcast studio to you. Visit mindbuzz.org for more. You have a set on your website that I was playing before you walked in, and most of the songs on there, like I just had to like Shazam them real quick because they were like really cool songs. They're like, it's really good music, and like you said, it's interesting music that maybe someone hasn't heard before, and that's awesome, dude.
Oh, thanks. Was it on my website? I think it's the link to.
It was on the press tab.
Okay, that was it was a night I had done at the Virgil with Mona Lisa and Danny Holloway. I think it was a night called Skin Tight.
Okay.
And let's see.
Scroll down. It's there we go.
This one?
Yes.
Is it that one? Yeah, I was playing that one.
Oh, the Mojito Show.
I think it was that one.
Oh. That was okay, the Mojito Show. Those were friends of mine. That's my friend Eric and another friend of his. They he was a writer, I believe, on Invader Zim.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm blanking on his other friend's name, but they were like huge.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they were huge funk and soul fans too. Yeah, he's actually.
sorry.
Hey everybody, it's August, and this
was
is
it that
Eric.
one? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you listen carefully,
Eric.
yes,
Okay.
that is an
Oh,
old
there's the-
ukulele cover of the theme from Shaft playing in the background.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
That's my friend Eric. He's actually engaged to an old friend of mine, my friend Sammy. She used to be the bassist in this all-girl punk group called the Holograms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how I met him, through her, and then he asked me to be on his show, and
That's awesome. Where's it playing from? Oh, you're moving it.
Yeah, I'm moving it.
Oh, okay.
Before he was.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome, dude.
I really like that though. What you're saying about like that you feel like it's an like
responsibility.
You need a responsibility, yeah, that you need to teach, because I feel like when you play, you're playing with intention. You're not just putting music out to see if just to put it. You're going out there, you're trying to make people happy, you're trying to make people move, and you're also educating at the same time. And I think that's awesome. I never, to be honest, thought of like a DJ in that way, in that sense. It was just, there's music playing, if I like it, I dance to it, and if I don't, then I don't. But now I'm like, oh, that completely changed my outlook on that. That's really cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And I'm not trying to knock anyone or put anyone down for what they do, because at times I'll play hits too, and then there's certain types of gigs like weddings and corporate parties where you absolutely have to play hits, because that's just kind of what you're getting paid for.
Yeah.
But in general though, I kind of when I got into DJing, it wasn't just DJing. It's like DJing and record collecting. And I feel like, when you kind of like start collecting cultural artifacts, it makes you kind of like, not a gatekeeper, but you're keeping kind of certain traditions alive. And, you have a responsibility to the history of those traditions and those cultural traditions to make sure that they're still presented as accurately as possible in the proper, in as proper context as possible. And, yeah, it's I don't know if this is the best analogy, but a lot of times people talk about LA as like a city without any architectural history, because LA always tears down all the old buildings to put up something new. And I look at, music shouldn't be like that, because music is kind of like, it's a gateway to history and learning about ideas that maybe could be lost to time. And so when I play music, I want to make sure that, I'm trying to keep those kind of traditions alive, trying to keep the history alive and not letting those things die, in the pursuit of frivolity or whatever, to me, music is something more, music is fun, and it's, it's great to dance to and listen to, but it's always meant something a little bit more to me, at least, than just about having a good time or whatever. There's some of the the most important life lessons I've learned from listening to music. And it's almost like a religion in that sense, where I definitely want to make sure that what I do is kind of pure in that sense. And
that's interesting. I've never thought of music as religion, because it's basically like a club can be an analogy of a church.
Oh,
People
absolutely.
Congregating, and they're fellowshipping for one thing, and that's music.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can remember being a little kid and staying with my grandmother in St. Louis for a summer.
When did you move out to California? You were born in
I was born in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I've lived out here since I was 3. So since 1978.
I was gonna ask you if you remembered Missouri at all.
Well, yeah. So from the time we moved out here to Southern California, which was 78, up until the time I was 23, 24, I would go to St. Louis every year, sometimes 2 to 3 times a year. Summer break every year, during, elementary school, junior high, high school, every summer break, I'd be in St. Louis. Sometimes Christmas, sometimes spring break.
Okay.
So yeah, I spent a lot of time in St. Louis, and I can remember being a little kid going with my grandmother to a Pentecostal church, because she went to a Pentecostal church. And
those are interesting.
It's at the time as a little kid, it was almost a little frightening,
right?
But it's like a rock concert, or it's like a club, because people get the Holy Ghost, and then the band starts improvising.
The music, yeah.
People start improvising, and I just remember the music.
It's like a rock concert.
Yeah, the music was super loud, and then everyone starts jumping up and dancing, and people are screaming and passing out. And then, as a little kid, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on?
What is this?
But I think about it now, and I'm like, oh my God, that was the most amazing experience ever. It's like, it was like seeing the Beatles or something, because, everyone's feigning and speaking in tongues. And
is that your first, your first experience of how music made people feel?
No, because I think my first experience with music. So my parents collect a lot of records, and like when I first started DJing, like that first time at that club in Long Beach, I just took all my dad's records with me, and so my parents bought tons of records all the time. They would always have their friends over playing music, and they would always say like my favorite song when I was like 2 years old was like the Ohio Players' Fire. My first word was fire because of Ohio Players' Fire, and I would always ask them to play the Ohio Players' Fire. And I asked them to play it so much that they bought me my own little portable turntable and a copy of the Ohio Players' Greatest Hits. So that was like my real first experience with music. So yeah, so that I could just play it for myself.
Oh, that's awesome. What's your collection at right now? Is it the last time I heard it was like 1,300, 1,200?
You see, that's what I thought. But then somebody said, you know what, you probably have a lot more because I don't count it. I just know, okay, this is how many boxes I have. This is how many cubby holes are filled. So
2,000?
Probably more than 2,000.
More than 2,000? Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. And
well, not insane because this is like your job, right? These are your tools.
It's my job, but I mean, I just buy stuff all the time. It's just because I mean, because I mean, of course, there's certain things that I buy because I'm like, okay, I can definitely DJ with this, and this will be a part of my set. But there's other things that I buy because this is something I'm going to listen to at home. Like, I love listening to like jazz and reggae, even though I don't DJ either, really. But like jazz and like reggae, roots reggae, are like two of my favorites, just like to sit at home and listen to. I also like a lot of folk music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, groups like Pentangle and Fairport Convention, Davy Graham, Bert Jansch, yeah, all that stuff. I love like a lot of like UK folk music. I really love. So yeah, I buy any and everything. I love a lot of international sounds. Like I used to buy a lot of kind of like North African music and stuff like Kulthum, Cheb Khalid, Ofra Haza, stuff like that.
That's cool. Do you, when you go to purchase like a record, like other than it being for yourself, like let's say like for DJing, are you strategic in like the way that you purchase it or anything like that, or is it like you just kind of go digging and it's?
I always have a plan when I go into a record store. And then the more I'm in there, it just all goes out the window. So, I mean...
I feel you.
Like, a lot of times, I'll go into Amoeba, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this one record. Like not too long ago, like last September, I had a wedding gig, and they wanted almost everything to be on vinyl. And there was like a specific song they wanted to walk down the aisle to, like this instrumental version of Stand By Me or something. So I went to Amoeba to buy just this instrumental version of Stand By Me. And I think by the end of the trip, I had spent like $200 on I found the instrumental version of Stand By Me. But yeah, I found a lot of other things too. And yeah, I'll end up buying like, oh, look at this jazz record. Oh, look at this classical record. And
so that's what you listen to when you're not out at venues and DJing.
I listen to a lot of stuff that I DJ as well, because I mean soul and funk. That's in my DNA, and that's always going to be something that I listen to regardless. Mm-hmm. But there's lots of stuff I love. I love Britpop. I love a lot of UK indie stuff. Of course, 60s psych and garage rock and 60s pop stuff as well.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like the psych rock stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been getting into a lot more Spanish psych rock too. Which is that's a whole new other thing that I'm jumping in that I haven't really dived in too much, but I feel if I do, Amber's not going to see me for the next 2 weeks. Usually what happens when I find a new genre of music.
Yeah, there's a couple like South American bands that I've listened to, like Traffic Sound and stuff like that. I love a lot of like the Latin American psych sounds and from the 60s.
Yeah, even like the I have to find what genre of music it is, but it's like it has like an Afro beat to it. It's really cool. Like I have to I'll have to find it on my Spotify playlist and show you. But that actually, like how has it changed, like with like music platforms like Spotify having playlists and Pandora having playlists? Does that change anything for you in DJing? Like with just certain people.
Well, I don't know about for me personally.
Just in
I think in one sense it's made a lot of rare music easier to hear and digest. Because before, I think in one sense it's kind of demystified a lot of kind of like the there was a certain kind of gatekeeping quality to DJing / record collecting. I'll put those two together. Because in the, a lot of times, you'd have a DJ that would find some super rare song, and going to that DJ's night was the only way you were going to hear that song until you found a copy for yourself. Now everybody has a Spotify playlist. So even something that's super rare, even if the DJ that you heard the song from doesn't have it on a Spotify playlist, the DJ that they probably heard it from probably does, or somebody else has it on a Spotify playlist. So you can hear a song and 5 minutes later, listen to it 30 times on the way home. And then now it's not as, I don't want to say it's not as special of an occasion when you go hear the DJ, but there's just not like that kind of mystique to it anymore.
Yeah.
There used to be like, I can remember, even before I was a part of Funky Soul, going to Funky Soul when it was at Star Shoes, and it was like Miles and Egon and Cut Chemist, and they would just be playing this music that I'd never heard before, especially like when they started playing like a lot of Turkish and African music.
Whoa.
And I'm like, who's this? Who is this? And all these names, and I'm like, and there was an internet back then, but it wasn't like the level it's at now. It wasn't like there wasn't Spotify, Pandora, and all that.
Right.
You couldn't just go YouTube, any of those artists. So you couldn't YouTube Zelda, really. And so it was like, you had to go. You had to go to the night. It's like, I heard this amazing song. I got to go next week because I want to hear it again.
Yeah. Like on all honesty, like it's cool to Google whatever, but when it comes to music, like there's just something about figuring out or finding out about a band or a song from the radio or from like a DJ.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and like having to tape a song off the radio.
Yeah. Or
like, having to like videotape MTV. Because I can remember, MTV used to be like on I think it was like a 12-hour loop. So
whoa, 12 hours?
Yeah. So if you saw a video at 1 p.m. and you missed it, you're like, okay, I just got to be here at 1 a.m.
Set a timer.
and I will catch this video. Because actually, one of my favorite artists is this guy, Paul Weller. And I can remember when he had this song out, The Changing Man, in the mid-'90s, and seeing that video. And like they only ever showed it like, I think it was like 120 minutes, because that was like the show that would focus on the UK stuff. Or, they would show a lot more UK stuff, and it wouldn't pop up in the regular MTV feed. So yeah, it came on, and I was like, oh my God, I got to record this video. And I just would sit there and wait and wait and wait. And that's how I figured out the whole 12. Oh, it all repeats after 12 hours. So yeah, I'd have to wait till like the repeat came on. I think it was MTV2 that was showing it when MTV2 first came out. That's what it was. Yeah, I just waited. I'm like, all right, 1 a.m. Sit here with my, get it going.
Yeah.
I think, like you were saying, like with Google and the internet,
it takes away just a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It's something I've talked to about people with other things. Like I said before, when I got started going out to clubs and stuff, I was kind of going out to 60s mod nights, and there was definitely kind of, it's like any subculture. It's like a kind of like this dress code to it, and this whole musical side, music and fashion and everything that go together. But it wasn't an easy thing to learn about, and it was definitely the kind of thing like, if you were to first get into it, you weren't going to get all the clothes right away. You weren't going to know everything about all the music right away.
You would have to go out to gigs. You would have to go out to shows
and shops and everything. The whole thing was built around that. You had to find flyers, and you have to find the cool places that had the flyers to know where to go for the next thing. And
that was part of the subculture.
Yeah, and in a sense, putting in that kind of work is what made it valuable, because you had to really work and you had to really kind of like put in some time and effort and sweat equity into learning about this thing that you really wanted to be a part of. And now, you know, you can go on the internet, and in a weekend, you can learn everything about a particular subculture, find a website that will sell you all the exact right clothes, and you can have it all done in in 2 days, and then a month later you can be bored with it and move on to something else.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you actually have to put the work into it, you put enough work into it where you're like, well, I'm not throwing this away right away. I'm not going to,
I'm going to commit for a couple more years.
Yeah, well, you commit to it, and I think, even though you evolve and you grow past it or whatever, it's still a part of you because you put in that kind of work.
Yeah.
It's not disposable.
Yeah.
It's something that stays in your blood.
Yeah. How do you I'm a big I love records. I could go back, remember like 5-6 years old, getting my grandma's records, and I think that's where my love for records came. But I know that, like, for a while, I mean, at least for myself, like with my friends, no one collected them, and I was the only one that was like going and these things, and I have a collection too at home. But now I see like a big influx of records are back, and I know it's been quite a few years, but have you seen like a rise like recently, or it's kind of been the same throughout the years?
Oh no, definitely. There's definitely like a lot more interest in records. I feel like in some respects though, it's almost well, a lot of venues now, if they know that you'll do a vinyl set, you'll get booked because they like the look of someone playing vinyl. And I part of me feels like, it's kind of turned record collecting and records into a gimmick, and because it's kind of like how Record Store Day started out with this great idea as to like, okay, we're going to encourage people to support brick and mortar record stores and purchase product in store, not online. And to that end, a lot of record shops were like, okay, we're going to give you special deals on this. And then Record Store Day got so big that, cool new bands or, cool old records got pushed to the side. And now what record labels do, they just do special colored vinyl repressings of things that were top 40 hits already that aren't particularly hard to find, or, which in another sense kind of end up harming newer bands, because a lot of times, speaking as a musician, bands have a hard time getting their any band that wants to put stuff out on vinyl has a hard time getting it pressed now, because major labels are tying up the record plants with either repressing top 40 hits or pressing like the latest commercial.
Is that why it's so expensive for like indie artists to press vinyl?
Yeah.
Like I heard, I was on the last podcast episode, I was talking to my friend, and he was saying that it was like $2,000 to get like 100 units.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Because record pressing plants are all tied up, and things, for a band to put out vinyl, it gets delayed because if you're not ordering in the quantities that a major label's going to order in, so you look at like a major label with like a Taylor Swift record, they're going to go to a pressing plant and be like, can you press 3 million of these?
Whoa.
And a record, a little indie artist is going to be like, I just need 1,000 records. So the record plant's going to focus on the
million.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's like the number that they're actually pressing, but she's like that kind of artist that would move those kind of numbers. It might only be 500,000 copies that she's pressing, but her 500,000 compared to an indie artist's 1,000, she's going to get the priority.
I don't know if did I say 1,000 or 100, but the difference is extremely
it's a random question, but how is I don't know if you know this question. I'm gonna assume that you do. No. How is music pressed onto like a vinyl? Like, do you know?
Well, I mean,
Or should we look it up?
Can we look that up? That sounds cool.
you mean
Is
just
there a
like
video?
I
wanna see
are.
it.
Actually, a friend of mine, a friend of mine's starting his own pressing plant.
Whoa, you could do that? That's cool.
Yeah, he used to have a studio in Inglewood, and I believe the I don't know if you've heard of this band, the Twin Seas. They took over his studio, but now he's starting his own pressing plant.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's gonna run it out of his garage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he'll be able to do like small orders of things, but yeah, you get like the master record, and then when they're pressing it, it kind of just presses the grooves into the wax.
So it's
based on like the what's etched into the master.
So it's digital and then moves it to the vinyl.
You see, it depends because in the old days it was all done on tape,
right? And
then that brings up another point that I was going to have about vinyl and the vinyl resurgence, where it's kind of gimmicky because the whole point when I started collecting records and when people were really like, oh, let's go back to vinyl, people were concerned about the sound quality because music was recorded analog onto tape, and then from tape it was done analog to like a master, and then the master to the vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And so the entire process was analog. So the sound was preserved throughout the whole chain. And what digital does, you have like the sampling rate. So it kind of just takes bits and pieces of the sound spectrum, and that's what's getting recorded. But, obviously the sampling rate is so high that it's, almost imperceptible to the ear. But at the same time, when you go digital to analog, those kind of differences become just slightly more pronounced.
Mm. Can you tell the difference between that?
Not always.
No.
And because, a lot of it depends on the mastering process. But at the same time, I always feel like, well, if something was recorded digitally and mastered digitally, to me, there's a lot less of a priority to own it on vinyl. Yeah. I might buy the vinyl because if something's really cool on the record and I'm doing a vinyl set of other things that are in that style, then I'll have the vinyl just so I can be able to play that song. But, yeah, to me, it's not like, I have to have this on vinyl as opposed to just a CD. Sometimes things are recorded digitally and it's something that I'm just going to listen to at home, not going to DJ out. I'll buy a CD or, I'll download the files from Bandcamp or something because I don't know. To me, I don't fetishize vinyl in that sense. For me, it was I kind of came from that time period where it was more about fetishizing analog and the analog process and trying to preserve the purity of the analog signal, which meant buying vinyl, but that was just because that was the main medium of that time period.
Right.
If you wanted to hear, say, like a Cream record or a Jimi Hendrix record, the way it was meant to be heard, you would buy it on vinyl because it was recorded on tape, it was mastered, analog. So you should buy the analog version to hear it how it was meant to be heard.
How many other versions do they have? Okay, so break it down for me. Talk to me like a 2-year-old in this sense. So is there analog, mono, and stereo? Are those different?
Mono and stereo are different from analog.
Right. So what is analog, by the way?
Analog means there was like a physical media had to be involved.
Okay.
So like in the 60s, people were in the recording studio, everything gets recorded to tape. And then they take that tape and they mix it down to another tape. And then that tape gets used to make it gets mastered, and then they make the first pressing of the test pressing of the record, and then all the records are pressed from the analog master. So that entire process, everything's done in a way that recreates the entire spectrum of the sound. I'm trying to think how the best to explain. So like if I took like a pen or something and you draw like a wave like that, that's your sound wave. What digital does, so this is your sound wave, just one continuous smooth line. Digital takes little chunks like this. and it makes it into a shape that's very similar to the sound wave, but
very small,
very, very small.
But it's still in the same shape.
Still in the same shape, but you're missing little pieces of the sound spectrum.
Okay. Oh. All right. Is that why?
That's why it's called the sampling rate, because you're taking a sample.
Sample rate. Oh.
You're taking a little sample of the full thing.
Whoa.
And then but it's so small that when your ears hear it, your ears are hearing as if it's the full. And and admittedly, a big part of what got people of my age into collecting records and being kind of like analog snobs was the fact that early CDs were mastered terribly, because record labels were just trying to make a quick buck. So it's like, okay, we're going to take these old records and put them on CD, not understanding that okay, the digital, changing something over from analog to digital takes a lot out of the sound. Nowadays, when things are recorded digitally, they'll do a lot of times people will do two different masters. They'll do a master that's specifically for vinyl, taking into consideration how vinyl replicates the sound, and they'll do another master that's specifically for digital. Because if you try to take a digital master and just put it on record, it doesn't sound very good.
Wow, that's a lot, dude.
And and then a lot of times things get pressed on vinyl now, or you'll hear about, this old record is being re-released on vinyl. And a lot of times what labels are doing just to cut corners is they're just taking a CD and just using that to press it onto vinyl. Oh, wow. And then you can kind of tell, because the sound will sound kind of thin, or
so it's lacking the original.
Yeah, they're not always using the original master tapes, which is also, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago there was a big fire
at some studio, right?
Yeah, Universal.
I remember that.
And there's all these old master tapes destroyed. And and those records, they exist still digitally, but you'll never be able to get a pure, clear.
Wow.
That's so weird how that happened.
Yeah, you like Louis Armstrong and Frank Sinatra stuff from stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s, early 50s.
Can you pull that up? Because I want to see what was lost in that thing. Yeah, and that was a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it was music and film, or was it just music?
I think it might have just been music.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of master tapes.
Where was it at?
I think it was Universal. Or somewhere that Universal lost a lot of their master tapes.
Universal or Paramount? Or was it Universal? Oh, right there. List of masters lost in Universal fire. The artists whom UMG confirmed were affected are Bryan Adams, and You Will Know...
It was 2008, okay.
It was 2008. And You Will Know Us by the Trail of the Dead, Peter Bayerwald, Beck, Sheryl Crow, Peter Frampton, Jimmy Eat World, Elton John, Michael McDonald, Nirvana, Les Paul. So Les Paul would have been in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
The 40s or 50s.
But there's more. There's a lot more than those artists.
REM, Slayer, Sonic Youth, Soundgarden, The Safari, Suzanne Vega, White Zombie. Yeah, these seem like newer artists.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more. I think because I think if you look at the full list, it goes way back into the past.
2008. Yeah, but imagine that. Somebody lost their job.
Was it? I wonder if it was an electrical.
Because there's a whole new other job in just preserving all these old.
Oh yeah, I have a friend,
publications.
Well, I know I have a friend who works, I think at A&M, and he's because master tapes break down over time anyway, and they have this process that
they're super flammable too.
Yeah,
right?
There's a process called baking where they'll bake the master tapes to keep them from disintegrating over time.
But there's a whole process to that. There's got to be something, but I want to see how that started. Can you go to the Wikipedia? Right there. No, it's right there. 2008 Universal Studios fire. Right there.
It was probably something electrical or.
Those are the responses.
Let's see.
That would have been horrible. Oh, yeah, so right there. June 1st, 2008, a fire broke out on the back lot of Universal Studios, Hollywood, an American film studio and theme park in San Fernando Valley, area of Los Angeles, California. There we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The fire began when a worker used a blowtorch to warm asphalt shingles that were being applied to a facade. He left before checking that all spots had cooled, and a three-alarm fire broke out. 9 firefighters and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy sustained minor injuries. The fire was extinguished after 24 hours. 24 hours?
Wow. Dang, so it was someone.
Well, yeah, because he was working on like a facade. Oh, okay, he found it.
Yeah, there's a list. If you scroll down in the Universal, in the Wikipedia.
Oh, the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Where it says list of artists.
Did I miss it?
Yeah.
Oh, right here. Click to show. Okay. Here, right?
Yeah, I think that.
Show. Oh, there we go.
Whoa.
Whoa. 50
Eminem, Adam Ant, Paul Anka. Oh, Louis Armstrong. Audio Slave.
Yeah, Yusuf Lateef, Denise LaSalle, Patti LaBelle.
Wow.
The Ames brothers.
Chris Rock. Whoa.
Otis Rush.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Tupac, Shakur.
Sonny Rollins. Yeah.
The Simpsons. Whoa. That's a lot.
Barry Gibb. Wow. Wow.
That's huge. Look at you're scrolling.
I wonder if they charged this person.
Wow. BB King.
Yeah, I mean, that's history.
Jurassic 5.
Wow.
The Who, White Zombie, White Snake, Bobby Darin. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Frida Payne.
Whoa. The Wallflowers.
Etta James.
War. That's terrible. Whoa.
Howlin' Wolf. Yeah, I mean, master tapes. Those are like gone. The original recordings are gone.
Wow.
How do you even bounce back from that?
Well, I mean, they have it all digital, but I mean, it's never gonna be the same.
Do you know if there's something that you can do only on the originals versus digital?
Well, it's just you're not gonna ever hear it exactly the way it was. Oh my god! You know how like right now, like they just had like that new Beatles remaster of Revolver that came out.
Oh, they just did really?
Yeah. It came out around Christmas of 2022. So, and they used AI to do it. But what they had, the AI examine the original master tapes.
What?
And so, even though there is kind of like, that AI computerized process, but they were the AI listened to the original master tapes. And, there's some parts where like in the mix, different instruments got mixed down together to the same track. But AI was able to, really discern what the two different instruments were and then separate it. But now that you don't have the original master tape for these artists, so like, people are raving about this Revolver remaster because you're hearing things you never heard before. It's like so clear. You're hearing all these different instruments and it's been mixed different now because technology is so much better. And you have so many more tracks that you can use to mix things. And AI was able to go through and separate the different instruments to like a level of clarity, not had before. You can't do that with these artists.
Whoa.
Because there's no master tapes.
That is insane.
That's kind of really sad. It made me really sad.
It's bumming me out, dude.
But that goes back to what I was saying earlier about, I feel like, it's just so important to keep the history of this stuff alive because it's so easy to disregard, culture, as being disposable and, but it's so much more, when I was a kid in school, I loved history. I loved the history classes and it always amazed me how we were able to tell so much about ancient civilizations because, just based on like, their pottery and like things that they wrote on the walls and stuff like that, and, it's only after those cultures died, those civilizations died, that we were like, oh my God, this is important. And, we're in this time period where, we have access to this stuff, and we know from how other civilizations ended and what ended up becoming important from those civilizations. We know what will be important now, so we should protect it now. We should try to keep it, alive or at least reasonably respect it for as long as possible.
Yeah, especially something like film.
Yeah, film, art, music. That stuff's important.
Art, music, yeah. So what do you think about the AI? Okay, so artificial intelligence first of all, like it's growing with like computer tech, but now it's moving into the fine arts.
Yeah, I saw that with I saw one where like an AI they had AI pretty much replicate what a Jay-Z verse would sound like.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, they have AI mimicking other artists and just making whole new songs
Whoa.
that sound like this artist. So yeah, I don't like that aspect of it. I mean, I see what they're able to do in some regards, and I'm like, wow, this is great. This, but I feel like before they had even done that, there should have been like they should have come up with some kind of like ethical ground rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as great as technology is, I feel like as a society we're letting too much of our society be dictated by technology rather than coming up with some sort of like set of ethics or rules to dictate how we use technology. And it'll get to the point, if it hasn't already, to the point where it gets away from us, and before you know it, for instance, like people talk about how AI will be able to put all these people out of work. Well, what's going to happen to everyone when everyone's out of work? Because we don't have any universal basic income. We don't have anything that will ensure any kind of quality of life for people if they're out of work. And yet we keep pushing this technology that's going to drive everyone out of work, but with no kind of real thought to what's going to happen afterwards.
I feel like AI is like I know someone cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. I know someone cheaper. Yeah, I can't get this person to do it, but I can get something close enough.
Yeah.
It's like that quote from Jurassic Park where, we were too busy thinking about, can we do it? We didn't think if we should do it or something like that, Yeah. And yeah, that's what I feel about AI, because especially when you start seeing like, oh, check out this AI mimicking, this artist's song. I'm like, why would somebody even do that? And then why would, kind of like, semi-reputable sites be publishing this stuff saying, oh, look at what AI can do? Because now you're saying, I feel like art is kind of like one of like the ultimate expressions of individuality and humanity. And you're just, and in one fell swoop with AI, you're just basically saying, this individual's worthless. Why you don't need Jay-Z, you don't need Beyonce anymore, because we'll just get the computer to imitate them.
Yeah, to press of a button or at a certain code that we're able to put into the computer, that we can create this whole human experience that humans use.
Yeah. I mean AI, and then with hologram technology and everything like that. What's the future of concerts? What's the future of music in general? Yeah. And then another thing that's kind of concerning in that regard, you have things like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I just not too long ago, James Earl Jones signed over the rights to his voice.
Whoa, did he really?
Yeah, to Lucasfilm, so that they can use AI.
Can you pull that up? I want to see that.
So that they can use AI to replicate his voice for Darth Vader in future movies.
Whoa.
So, but I mean, that kind of sets a precedent of, say you're a new artist, or you're a huge pop artist, or you're going to have the potential to be a huge pop artist, and a record company can say, well, sign over your image, sign over your voice, and then, you can have a career doing your stuff, but at any point, the record label could like cut you out of the process and just now we have an AI created pop star.
So there's AI created pop stars, but there's also these like AI generated deep fakes that they're called. And
Well, that's what I mean. You can deep fake music videos. You can deep fake photographs. You could just create a whole virtual artist with virtual photo shoots, music videos.
They replicate the person on the screen. It's wild. Amber, these are the Arnold Schwarzenegger videos that I watch all the time.
Yeah, those are hilarious. I saw those.
He watches it every night.
There you go. Fact number 4. Lucasfilms owns the rights to Darth Vader. The Darth Vader character, including voice, is owned by Lucasfilms. James Earl Jones does not actually own the Darth Vader voice. Oh. What? That's weird.
That's
like
weird.
Saying you don't own your own voice.
Yeah. But I know I saw somewhere where he said he gave them his blessing or something like that. I thought it was like he had signed over the rights to his voice so they could keep replicating it.
Oh, there we go. And is unable to legally sign away those rights to anyone, even if he wanted to. Whoa.
Well, he couldn't sign away the Darth Vader rights, but I think he gave him his blessing to use his voice so they can keep using use AI.
Gotcha.
Dang. That's crazy.
He doesn't... So that's weird because it's his voice for Darth Vader. Is there a change in his voice when he does Darth Vader versus when it's his regular voice?
What? They only paid him $7,000?
Whoa.
No.
Well, I think he got residuals. He had to get residuals for that.
So every time they probably...
That is insane. But yeah, dude, these deep fakes are amazing what they can do.
Yeah.
And it's scary. What do you think? Do you think that, or maybe it has, that I don't know, but has like the AI thing gone into like a DJing aspect?
Not yet, but I mean, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, I'm sure you'll be able to do something like where you'll have like body scanners in a club, and they'll have the computer analyzing people's heart rates and see people's movements, and then the AI will be able to figure out what song should I put on,
impressions, and scanning their faces to see what their facial expressions are.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't yet, but I'm sure you could at the very least program AI to play like a very specific genre. Say, I want you to play a 2000s hip hop set, just the best songs. Keep it within this BPM parameter,
right?
And AI would be able to put together,
throw in the data and what you want and the genre and
because
types
I mean,
and
you think about like something like Pandora or something like that, where you would play songs and then it would generate playlists based on
the likes,
based off what you liked and what you played, and then it would show you more of that
and the retention.
So that, I mean, that's already there. And I remember when that came out, a lot of restaurants and hotels and stuff switched over to Pandora. But like I said, I think at the same time you have all this AI, there is, like I said, a lot of spots now love if you play vinyl. They don't even care about your skill level or what you're playing.
As long as you're playing vinyl.
And I think that's because people want something real now. Yeah. I think slowly people are beginning to want something real. So things are kind of like splitting. You got AI and all this technology happening, but I think people are on some level longing for something real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that ends up being like this weird kind of, and things become like this weird kind of fetish where it's like not a genuine interest in a DJ for like the set that they play or their ability to read the crowd. It's just like, oh, you got records. Yeah. People will sit here and see you flipping records over.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I want to hear something on vinyl, doesn't matter what.
Right. Yeah. Or I want to see you, flipping through your case.
Yeah. They want to see you working. Basically, I want to see you work to earn this money.
What's your what's your do you have a favorite preference for a DJ?
Oh, my favorite DJ?
Yeah. Do you have one of those? Or a VJ?
Yeah, I mean, I love what so many other DJs play. I mean, they're all well, a good friend of mine's name's Hector Waluyo. He DJs at Funky Soul now. He's I think he's a great collector and DJ. Whenever I hear him play, I always learn something. then everyone at Motown on Mondays, Mona Lisa and Fatrick and Jedi, those are all great DJs. And what I really love about Motown on Mondays is they found a way to make these kind of classic songs. They are able to put them in this new context, and you hear it in a different way.
And what club is this at?
It's at the Shortstop every Monday.
The Shortstop every Monday.
Yeah, Motown on Mondays.
So I was gonna ask you that because I follow someone that's a DJ. She's, she spins vinyl as well, and I see she DJs almost every night, and I'm like, who goes to a club on a Monday? Maybe because I'm in bed by 8:00. But here in LA, is it just here in LA or in other cities? Is there something happening every day?
Oh yeah,
for DJs, there's something every day.
Yeah. There's always there's always something happening. I feel like in a weird sense, there's a little bit. It's not as crazy as it was back, I say early 2000s to mid 2010s. I feel like things really, really were every single night. It was something happening, something big happening every single night. Now, there's things happening every night, but how packed or busy, varies. But Motown on Mondays is a big night. That's always packed. That's a really good night to go out. Other favorite DJs of mine. A good friend of mine, her name's she goes by DJ Short Short. She's a really good DJ. Right now, she's mainly known for country. But when I met her, she
really?
Yeah, there's been a really big kind of country resurgence. Yeah. It's funny because I love a lot of classic country, a lot of '60s kind of Bakersfield kind of country stuff, like Gosden Brothers But she's actually a great DJ across all genres. She does country nights at the spot called Desert 5 Spot. There's also DJ at Highland Park Bowl. And I think she does something at the Continental Club in downtown LA. But she's got great soul records, great rock records. We even did a jazz night together a few times. Another great DJ was a big influence on me, who's retired now. She goes by DJ Dia. Not a DJ Dia who's in North Hollywood, but this DJ Dia, she did a night in the 90s called Cafe Blue. And she was also part of a night called Club Bang. And I can remember, hearing her and this other DJ, Chris B, who was also part of Cafe Blue. They were how I learned about a lot of 60s music and a lot of Britpop and indie.
That's really cool.
Is there a lot of DJs in the genre of music that you're playing?
I feel like, with soul and funk,
there's a resurgence in soul and funk at the moment, right? With bands?
With bands, definitely with bands. I would say musically, in terms of nights and DJs, has never gone away. LA's always been kind of known as a soul town. I can remember, in the 90s, and being a part of the mod scene or 60s scene.
Oh, that's cool.
Every city, the three major cities in California were San Francisco, LA, and San Diego. And we always had, each city had its own kind of characteristics. San Francisco was where you went if you wanted to hear, mid 60s to early 70s psych. San Francisco, hands down, was the best city to hear psych. And that's how everyone dressed too.
And this was back in the 90s?
Yeah, people were wearing
that's awesome.
Lots of bright colors and paisley and flares and stuff. That was San Francisco. San Francisco was the psych city. And San Diego had a garage rock scene, kind of a rock scene, garage rock, garage punk scene that was really small. And they had a mod scene that was kind of small. So the two scenes kind of mixed together. So San Diego was the garage rock scene. You wanted to hear garage rock, kind of garage punk stuff, you went to San Diego. And then LA was always known as the soul town.
Really?
LA had massive soul events. There used to be an organization called the Golden State Soul Society that was organized by this English guy named Gabby who had moved to LA. And they would do massive events. I remember one year there was a huge soul event at the El Rey that sold out the El Rey for 3 days in a row.
Wow. Whoa.
People dancing to 60 soul. So, LA has always been kind of soul in some way, shape, or form, whether it's via the hip hop kind of crowds, because in the 90s and early 2000s, hip hop clubs played a lot of breaks. So always a lot of 60s soul, 70s soul, and funk got played because of the breaks that were used in samples. as well as just kind of like purist soul and funk clubs. And that's never gone away.
So there's really hasn't been any change in
The only change is like the live scene. There's like a lot of live soul and funk bands now.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen that. That's awesome.
Have you played anywhere out of like California? Have you gone to any other countries or any other states?
No other countries, unfortunately. But I've DJ'd in Albuquerque. I've DJ'd in New York. I've DJ'd in Colorado. That's it, really. I haven't really DJ'd a whole lot of other places.
What was that like, going to another state to...
it's always
DJ.
weird because you never know exactly what's going to work. Oh, I've DJ'd in Vegas. Actually, I had a Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm DJing in Vegas this coming Saturday as well. Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, when you DJ somewhere new, you just never know exactly what kind of sound's going to work because every city, whatever, has like different. It might be into the same genre, but they'll have like a different kind of sound or feel that they're into.
What type of information do you fish for when somebody tries to book you for, like, say, the New York gig? Like, what kind of questions would you ask before you go out and do that?
The New York gig, actually, my band was playing.
Okay.
My first band, the Mojo Filters, we had a show. We were playing at Pianos in New York, and I didn't really ask what to play.
Yeah.
I was still, I was still, like I said, I was still in the band, so that was always my main concern. And I was still fairly new DJing. So I just took out, I remember at that time, the whole DFA thing was really big. So I was like trying to pick out stuff that I thought would work with that.
Right.
I can't remember who it was. It was somebody, I'm trying to remember whose night it was. It was someone who had been on America's Next Top Model. I think her name was like Shandy Sullivan or something like that. And it was her night. And I didn't know what she was going to play. So I just brought like some random stuff. I had like some soul and funk stuff. But then at the time, people weren't super into 80s boogie funk yet. But I had a bunch of that I brought with me because I thought, okay, this might work with like some DFA kind of stuff because that was kind of like dance punk kind of sounding things. But yeah, definitely now, when I get hit up for out of town gigs or anything like that, I'll try to ask like, okay, what's the sound like? What are people into? Can you name like 2 or 3 artists that are,
right,
that work?
Dang, and that's the New York gig.
Oh, that was the New York gig there.
Yeah.
That was back in 2005, so a very long time ago.
It doesn't feel like very long. And
It doesn't, but
I'm like, oh my god.
It doesn't feel like a long time, but then I think about it, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, 2005 was almost 20 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
I
Yeah.
don't believe it. It's a fever dream.
Yeah, I mean, that means I've been DJing for 23 years.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So what's like from here on out? I mean, you DJ'd for 20 years. Are you going to DJ for the next 20 years, 50 years?
I mean, I feel like in some I'll always be DJing in some, on some level, I mean, obviously, I'm always like, looking for other ways to use my musical knowledge, whether playing in bands or DJing. For a few years, I wrote for Aquarium Drunkard, that music blog, Aquarium Drunkard.
Oh, cool.
So, I've written about music, I've played music, I DJ music, So, yeah, I mean, I've always kind of have dreamt of, being able to do some like music supervision for music or TV shows or something like that.
What is that? Supervision?
Those are kind of the people that, they
Oh, okay.
They pick up the music for TV shows and stuff.
Right,
We were just talking about this.
We were
last week where I was just saying like, isn't it how incredible how like movies, right? And like, who is that person that chooses the song and says, this is the song that we're going to play? Like out of millions, billions of probably songs and bands and everything, like how did, like, I couldn't fathom it. We were in the car and I was like having one of those moments.
Yeah. We were talking to Darnell Cole and Darnell was saying like, I would love it for, one of my songs to come on like a new movie or like the newest John Wick ending of the movie, and that's how the conversation started of who picks the movies. I mean, who picks the music for for movies. He
Yeah.
picks the songs for movies.
Yeah, that'd be the music supervisor.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, that's always been something I would love to, try to get into if I can figure out how to break into that.
Yeah, how would you even like start doing that?
I don't know. I know a couple people who do it, and I just haven't figured out how to break into it. And
pick their brain.
Well, we
I've
hope
been meaning
you
to.
do. Pick your brain.
Yeah, well, we hope you do because you have just an awesome skill set.
Oh, thank you.
And taste
Yeah.
in music.
Taste in music. Even when we're out there at the show with the McCharmleys, it was awesome. Like
Oh,
Even
thank you.
your style, like I seen on your website, right? It like there was like an article of like 50 like most stylish men.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
right, dude. You're like number 23, and
Complex. Yeah.
can we pull that up, dude? Thanks for reminding me because that was just freaking insane. Like
Is
you
it
don't,
under press.
Yeah.
under press. Like I'm like I'm sitting across from
Right here.
one of the well-dressed men in L.A. Yeah, right there. Hold on, let me read the headline. The 50 most stylish men in Los Angeles right now. That's awesome.
That's really cool. How did that happen?
You know what? Somebody just hit me up. They're like, "Hey, I'm writing something for Complex, and can you send some photos?" Like all the photos aren't available because it's old now. But
I'm like, you're on there with Kobe Bryant? That's
He beat Kobe Bryant. That's how more stylish he is. He beat Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's so cool.
Henry Rollins. Well, Henry Rollins is a tough guy. David Lynch. David Lynch is a good-looking guy to even begin with. Yeah, he's in like the 20s, dude. Oh, there we go.
Number
The
30.
Oh, okay, almost.
Hey, but you beat a lot of people. That's really cool. That's awesome. Where do you? I mean, obviously, I
Morrissey. Morrissey's
yeah,
like
Morrissey beat me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kendrick and Morrissey.
But dude, to be on the same list as Morrissey and Kobe Bryant and all those guys, that's insane.
It was a little overwhelming. I was like, whoa, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's awesome. So you had to submit photos and
Yeah, I sent in some photos, and yeah, they. I was like, wow. I didn't know what it was for until somebody
Really?
somebody sent me the link. They're like, "Oh, here you go," and I'm like, "What?"
you just sent photos and didn't know what it was.
Well, no. So, a friend of my friends like, "Oh, I gotta," they're writing this article
Okay.
for Complex. Can you send? We're talking about people who do stuff in L.A. Send some photos, and I thought they were gonna talk about me as a DJ or as a musician or.
That's really
Because I played in a lot of bands. Because I had the Mojo Filters, and I was in this other group that was kind of like almost like a BJM side project called The Tide. Not The Tide. Hang on, it was called The Belle Isle. It had members of The Tide and Brian Jonestown Massacre in it. And then I was in this other group called Love Grenades, and we had opened up for like Janelle Monáe on when she first played LA, and so I had done a lot of stuff. So I was like, okay, that's what this article is going to be
Right.
about. And then, yeah, number 23, no, number 30.
Number 30
in the 50 most stylish men. So
nice.
that's awesome, dude.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's overwhelming.
That it's still on there, and by the way, you have a great website.
Oh,
And
thanks.
it's-
Do you try to live up to that every day? Like, do you dress up every day?
No, I mean, most days I'm fairly casual, and if I'm at home, I'm just in my pajamas. So,
There you go. We're still living that COVID.
but yeah,
that COVID life.
I just, like I said, when I was part of like the whole 60s mod thing, just kind of really ignited something in me. I really love clothes, and I love, not just clothes for the sake of clothes, but like kind of, kind of clothes that go along with like a certain sound almost, I always think, there's got to be a particular look for the sound, and it's all got to kind of go together. The music and the clothes, they all go together.
Let us know if you ever go to Japan. We made some pretty cool friends, and one of them
Oh, nice.
was like what they told us was that he was like a really famous DJ, like vinyl DJ in Japan, and he was like an older man, like maybe
Yeah, it
like
was
in
cool.
his like 70s, and
Oh.
he would carry his records in like little ice chests, and it was like the coolest thing.
Oh,
It was
nice.
really, really cool, man, like awesome.
Oh, what was his name? I have to look him up.
I can't think of his name on the top of my
Daddy
head.
Nov.
Was it Daddy Nov?
Yeah, Daddy Nov.
So I'll send
Daddy
you
Nov.
his,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send you his Instagram.
Yeah, and then there's also another. His Instagram handle is Rockin' 50s, and he
right.
spins 50s, 60s
Nice.
rockabilly mostly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have a huge rockabilly scene in Japan.
Yeah.
I've seen photos. I've seen photos of the rockabilly scene, the Northern Soul scene, and kind of like the mod stuff they have there. And I have this book that I've had for a while. I haven't started it yet, but this book called Amatora. Yeah, it's a Japanese word. It means American style dressing, and the book is by this guy David Marks, and it's about how the Japanese preserved a lot of American clothing traditions.
There it is.
Yeah,
That's cool.
because in was it the 70s or 80s, like when Levi's and a lot of jean manufacturers got rid of their selvage looms, Japan bought them all up, and they were continuing to make selvage denim, and that's how selvage got big again in the U.S. because Japan was making selvage denim, and
Japan's style is like impeccable. Like there's such a like a melting pot of like just these groups of people and different like I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're walking down the street and it's like you see someone dressed like like Harajuku, and then you see someone like 50s, and then you see someone that's like more in tune with the style. They've even adopted like the cholo.
yeah, I've seen those photos too.
It's insane, but it's so cool. We went out there and we're like trying to look for like something that said Japan or something touristy.
Yeah.
And everything said like Los Angeles,
Chicago,
And we're
New
like,
York,
come on.
Abercrombie, however you say it.
But it's very cool. I have one more question for myself.
Yeah,
Do you think vinyl will ever like, I don't want to say become extinct because obviously I think it's going to live forever, but do you think that some of the original vinyls like do you think they'll ever become kind of extinct? Like,
I mean, eventually, I think vinyl will be. I mean, because vinyl is petroleum based, and that's a limited resource. So at some point, if humanity doesn't become extinct first, I think if vinyl doesn't necessarily become extinct, it's going to have to change. As far as the kind of current fervor for it, I think it will die down to what it was previously. And I think it's just going to be, kind of like how cassettes got big again. And I think a part of the reason cassettes got big, well, you have the kitsch factor, but then, like I said, vinyl became so expensive, especially for bands, that, they went to the next cheapest format. And I think what's going to happen again is I think there will probably be a CD resurgence, like a really big CD resurgence, just because if you're any kind of artist on like an independent level, CD is so easy. You can record and mix and do everything digitally at home, burn it to a CD, and then you have a CD copier. You can copy 50 of them in a night and distribute them at your shows.
yeah.
Especially, when if you're a newer band trying to get your music out. I definitely see CD coming back in that regards because it'll just be an easier format. For DIY purposes.
Yeah, the last artist we had on, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be selling my CDs at my show," and I'm like, "CDs." But even like in Japan, we went to like a music store, and the majority of like tangible like music they had were
CDs.
And I was like, "What?" Like,
I know Japan's like a small country with limited space, and I think CDs probably just fit that lifestyle better if you want something tangible. And then for me, I still buy CDs because I spend so much time driving in my car. And there's a lot that I love to listen to that's not available on streaming. So the best way to get it is to buy a CD, and I can listen to it in the car.
Clifton Weaver, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. Yeah, this has been great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry I talked so long.
No, you're okay.
I wish we could talk to you another hour.
Maybe you in the next couple of months you come on and talk to us.
Yeah, if you guys want me back, let me know when.
Cool. So what do you got coming up?
Tomorrow night I'm at a bar restaurant in Hollywood called the Edmond on Melrose. Then Friday, I'm at Apotec in Chinatown. Well, in the area between Chinatown and Lincoln Heights. I'm doing a disco, funk, and kind of international night called at Apotec. This Saturday and Sunday, I will be in Las Vegas for the Sundown Soul Club's Vegas Soul and Funk Weekender. And then moving forward, April 21st, my band, The Violet Minefield, or the band I play in, rather, The Violet Minefield, we have a show at Gold Diggers, April 21st.
Nice. And then if anybody wants to get you to DJ for them, what would be the best way to contact
They can contact me through my website, which is cliftonweaver.com, or email me directly at cliftondj, that's CLIFTONDEEJAY, at gmail.com.
Cool.
Poof. And there it is. Got anything else?
That's it for now, but I'm going to be updating my website hopefully tonight, so you can check the events, and that'll all be up there.
Sweet. And all the links to Clifton's stuff will be down in the show notes on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And thanks, you guys, for listening in and watching on YouTube. And Clifton, thanks for coming out and doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it, buddy.
You're welcome.
We got to do it again.
Yes, we will.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
So I got like 10 seconds.
That's fine. Peace out.
The Mind Buzz.
Thanks for listening to the Mind Buzz podcast. Subscribe to the Mind Buzz YouTube channel and watch full podcast episodes. Keep up with the hosts, guests, and upcoming events by following the Mind Buzz on Instagram at the Mind Buzz. See you on the next one.